Welcome back to India Tonight. We're talking about the terrible terror strike at the center of Lahore today in Pakistan. Mushahid Hussain, if terror can strike in the heart of Lahore, what does that tell you about the reach and spread of the terrorist groups?
Well, I think that it's very clear that whether it's Mumbai, whether it's New York, whether it's Lahore, terrorism has come to stay. It has a certain pattern. It has a certain professionalism, and it has the capacity today, unfortunately, to even take on the state apparatus with this kind of audacity. And the basic thing is that we are all victims of terrorism, and we are all sailing in the same boat. I'm now talking of South Asia. And I think we got to cooperate to curb, contain, and crush this threat before it overwhelms all of us. Because this kind of thing was unimaginable, and it certainly should be unacceptable in these times and day and age. And as Asma rightly said, I'm also in Lahore, and I also heard the explosion because I'm a few miles away from where she is. Everybody is really terrified. And the important thing is they have gotten away with this crime in broad daylight in the heart of Pakistan.
Asma Jahangir, over the last 6 months, maybe a year, the world had got used to the fact that the Northwest Frontier Province, Swat and Fatah in particular, had terrorist organizations. But no one really thought that Lahore in the center of Punjab, the heartland of Pakistan, could be so vulnerable. How shaken are you? Because does it suggest that the reach of the Taliban, or whoever, has actually come all the way to Lahore?
Well, Karan, people had always predicted this. In fact, I am surprised that it took them so long. Look, there is hardly any governance in Pakistan, as Mushahid put it. This is a time when things were in a crisis, and we have a problem now in Punjab where the whole administration is changed overnight. Governor rules has been put there. The people in Swat were not all Swatis. These were terrorists who had gone from southern Punjab to Swat. So there are sleepers everywhere. It's just our good luck or something in their policy that they haven't come out full force. And we know very well how they have had in the past sort of patronage from elements within the state as well. And we don't know whether they still have it or don't have it. But it's a very murky situation here.
Mushahid Hussain, if a cricket team that came to Pakistan as part of a high prestige tour, guaranteed security, could be so vulnerable, then is anyone's security in Pakistan guaranteed? After all, you have a civilian Prime Minister, a civilian President. They must pose targets to the terrorists. Is anyone safe in these circumstances?
Well, it only shows the reach of the terrorists, but it also underlines, I think we should accept this fact honestly, that there has been a serious security lapse. After all, the terrorists ought not to be seen as supermen who can overwhelm the state apparatus. And there have been security lapses, and perhaps more should have been done by the state apparatus. And because the government of Pakistan and the government of the province of Punjab has been too busy in wheeling, dealing in the quest for power, in posting transfers of policemen, in imposing governor's rule, and ensuring that they can browbeat the opposition, there was distraction away from the primary task of police, which is protecting citizens. And I think so that there is a reason for this failure, and this reason is political and certain level of incompetence also. So I don't think that this is mission impossible for the state to combat and crush this threat. Other states have faced this threat. They've done that needful.
Can I interrupt and ask a quick question? A very quick question.
Yeah.
But Punjab is at the moment under governor's rule. The governor is an appointee of Asif Zardari, in fact a friend of his, Salman Taseer. Does then the blame ultimately vest with the federal government and Asif Zardari?
Well, the blame rests with the federal government and the provincial government. Mr. Zardari is certainly a civilian, but he's very eager to seek absolute power to the exclusion of others, and this recent governor's rule has really boomeranged. Okay. And in this quest for power, they have undermined the security apparatus of the province of Punjab. I think let's get the facts right on that one.
Bishnu Singh Bedi, a moment ago you said that whether we live in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, we've all become victims of terrorism. Let me ask you a simple question. For the hundreds of millions of ordinary people in all four countries who only want to live a simple, peaceful life, what does this mean?
Well, they want to live a simple, peaceful life, provided they're allowed to.
And they're not being allowed to.
They're not being allowed to.
They live in constant fear of bombs.
This is my biggest grudge against the governors in Pakistan or in Bangladesh or in India, and in Sri Lanka. That how and when are you going to keep a common man's interests alive so that he can look forward to living peacefully?
Would you say that in all these countries, be it India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, ultimately politicians have let down their people? It's because they can't rise to the challenge or because they sup with the devil that ordinary people live in fear of bombs.
That's right. Well, if you live by the ballot, you die by the ballot.
Bullet, I take it you mean.
If you live by the bullet, you die by the bullet.
Asma Jahangir, would you accept that? That no matter which country we talk about, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, our politicians have let us down?
Yeah, but you see, I don't accept that because I come from a country where mostly it has been the military in power. Mostly it has been military policy. Mostly it has been military driven. The whole concept of jihad as being an integral part of Pakistan's foreign policy, as was said by Mr. Musharraf, not as far back, long back as in Agra. Now that is what we are reaping. And that is what I think the whole of subcontinent is also reaping. Sri Lanka, of course, has a separate issue altogether. And that too, if you look at that issue deep down, it was a question of discrimination between Sinhalese and the others, and poor governance and poor understanding of people's rights.
Can I put that to you very quickly, Mushahid Hussain? We've got probably 30 seconds left. Would you accept that in the specific case of Pakistan, the disillusionment will extend beyond civilian politicians to the army simply because the army's been in power for so many years, right up till it handed over to Asif Zardari?
Well, I don't agree with that because the army was already being bashed up under Musharraf, and Musharraf is gone, the army is no longer ruling, and the last 1 year it was the call of the politicians, and they have badly let down the people of Pakistan, and now the politicians are being blamed because they are in the driving seat, not Musharraf or the military.
So the blame vests solely with the politicians, not the army or the men in khaki. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. As of now, you see, because army is nowhere on the scene, they are not ruling the country, and neither is Musharraf. But the fact is, it's politics as usual, the negative politics of the past, and the politicians have learned no lesson from the past. They are repeating old mistakes. I have always told them to make new ones, but they are intent on repeating old mistakes, and I'm sure the consequences of those mistakes would be the same as in the past, unfortunately.
The unfortunate part is that the people who bear the consequences are ordinary people like you, me, and a lot of others, not the politicians themselves. My thanks to Asma Jahangir for joining us from Lahore, and my thanks also to Mushahid Hussain for joining us from, I believe, the same city. And of course, my thanks to Vishen Singh Bedi for coming here to studio. And on this very sad day, when we all join together in opposing terrorism and keeping the spirit of cricket going, let me use an old cricketing metaphor to say that this isn't. Goodbye. Good night.